Hey guys, welcome back to Populist Podcast. I'm Chase,
I'm Charles.
and today we're joined by Frank Rodriguez, a candidate for the 10th Congressional District of New York. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited.
We're very
So,
excited as well.
yeah, let me get us started off with, you want to tell us a little bit about your life? You want to tell us what you're about, why you're running, so on and so forth?
Absolutely. So, I've been born and raised in Brooklyn my whole life, and it's been such a wonderful place to live. I love my community. I love the people here. But what I don't love is what's going on in our communities. You can go to any public school in the 10th district, and you'll see the same thing. Overcrowded schools and overwhelmed and underpaid teachers. You go to anyone on the street who's renting an apartment here, and you ask them if they have that one job to pay for their rent, 9 times out of 10 they'll tell you no, they have 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. You go to any homeless person, and in New York there's a lot of homeless people right now, and you ask them why they'd rather live on the street than in a homeless shelter, they'll tell you that the homeless shelters are probably in worse condition than living on the street. You go to anybody in this district who isn't wealthy, and they'll tell you that they're not getting the opportunities they need to achieve the American dream because for most Americans, the American dream isn't achievable anymore. And I've worked for non-for-profits for the last 5.5 years. It's given me incredible insight into the issues we have with public school systems, with our community. And sitting here, one day I was just thinking, and I wish I could say that this decision to run was a decision made out of excitement, but it's not. It's made out of exhaustion. I'm exhausted watching people have to struggle just to live their lives. We have public housing units here that are in worse condition than abandoned homes. You ask a mother of three how her home is, if she lives in one of these affordable housing units, she'll say there's mold, there's no hot water, and there's also, more importantly, no one to call to fix it. And we just need to change these systems. Our systems are so broken. They no longer work for the majority of Americans. They work for the minority of wealthy people who decided a long time ago that they can go from millionaires to billionaires a lot quicker if they just tighten the circle of who can achieve greatness in America, who can be a part of the American dream. So, I think that the best things in life we're doing are the hardest things. And so when I realized how hard this would be for me, I knew I had to run. I knew that I could do better than what we have because what we have right now is nothing. It's not working. So I have to be better than that. And, that's why I'm running, and that's why I'm hoping to represent the 10th district in Congress.
All right, well, now we know a little bit about why you're running, so we'd like to ask you, if you had to attribute a label to yourself, how would you describe your political position?
Reform. Reform, reform, reform. We need serious reform in our government. Most of the systems do no longer work. If you look at our prison system, it is a complete mess. It is probably one of this country's greatest shames. We need a huge prison reform. We need tax reform. Why is it that billionaires are paying nothing in taxes, but a mother of four is paying more than that? We need tax reform. We need to give a 75% tax rate to the wealthiest in the country. We need to have a tax. If you can afford a yacht, you should be able to pay a tax on it. So, in something I'm calling the Fairness Act, it would provide a tax for people who own yachts. We also need to close all tax loopholes. Why do we have tax loopholes for the wealthiest of this country? Why do they get to get out of paying taxes when the majority of us have to pay taxes? My position is going to be reform. One of our campaign slogans is New America Now, because we need something new. We need something better because what we have simply doesn't work. So it's all about reform. The best way I can describe myself is a reformer. We need to reform. And, some people will say it's radical. If being radical is providing great health care for people, giving quality education to our children, giving women equal pay for equal work, and giving everyone a shot at the American dream, then I'm more than happy to be called a radical.
All right, so staying on the topic of healthcare, there's certainly a lot of debate within the Democratic Party on the issue of healthcare. Where do you stand on healthcare yourself? Do you support Medicare for all,
Absolutely.
Medicare for America, or expanding Obamacare?
I believe in Medicare for all. There is no reason why not every single American in this country who contributes to the greatness of this country not to have quality health insurance from the moment that they are born to the moment that they die. When we don't have that, we have a sick care system in this country. By the time someone is able to see a doctor, they're already past the age where a lot of their illnesses can be reversed. It's why so many people have pre-existing conditions, because they aren't given the opportunity to go to the doctor to get 6-month checkups. I go to the doctor every 6 months. So my health is good, but that's because of the fact that I have insurance. But most people don't, or they can't afford their insurance, or their insurance is garbage. So we need to have Medicare for all. We need to give every person the opportunity to live the healthiest life that they can live.
All right, so we're going to switch lanes a little bit here and talk about incumbent Jerry Nadler. He's recently made some comments regarding Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, saying that she, quote, appears to traffic in old anti-Semitic tropes, end quote. Would you say that these comments are justified?
Absolutely not. I have already said that being critical on foreign policy is not anti-Semitic. This is a Republican talking point that, unfortunately, it seems that a lot of the older generation of Democrats seem to be flocking to. We are Democrats for a reason. We are supposed to stick together. And I think that his comment was completely wrong. He's absolutely allowed to make it. This is America. We all have freedom of speech here. But her comments were not anti-Semitic. And the few things that she said that may have seemed inappropriate, she has apologized for. But we should be focusing on the fact that our president says a lot worse. And he is the president of the United States. This is a congresswoman, and they're treating her like she's the president of the United States. He is wrong. And the reason why I'm running is not to say that Jerry, he's the worst congressman. He's not. But he's not doing enough. Too many of our politicians are sticking with the status quo. Well, if it's not completely broken, don't fix it. But unless they haven't looked out their front windows lately, a lot of things are too broken. And Jerry is just another example of sticking to status quo and following kind of this Republican rhetoric that you even hear in some of these presidential debates now that they're echoing. And we have to stop that, and we have to support each other in the Democratic Party.
All right. So staying on the new age of the Democrats, or switching to the new age of the Democrats, did you support the grassroots effort by New York politicians such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to oppose Amazon H2Q, which was coming to New York?
I believe that there was a better way. First of all, we need to make sure that Amazon is paying taxes. So I think that to give them a blank check for the next 4 or 5 years, which was what the governor was proposing, was not the way to go about it. I would have liked to see a little more of negotiation with the deal before it was completely erased. Had Amazon not been willing to come to the table, what I would have hoped for is the 25,000 jobs that were supposed to be coming in, at least 20,000 of them had to be guaranteed for local residents. Also, they would have to donate a fraction of their income yearly to public schools in that district. That's what I would have liked to see in the deal. The deal was definitely severely flawed and did not do enough for the community that would have been around the Amazon buildings. But I don't agree that we should have just thrown it out right away. I think there should have been some time for negotiation, see what we could have gotten better, and then gone from there. But I also understand her position and the position of a lot of the people that didn't want it there, because what will happen is rents will raise, gentrification will push out a lot of the people that have built that community. So I do understand that. But I do believe that there was much more room for pushing back on Amazon and saying, no, this is our list of demands and this is what we want, and then you can come here. Because the governor was not giving them a list of demands. He was giving them what they wanted and not really expecting much in return. So I think if we would have been a little harsher on them, making sure we got what was going to be beneficial for us, it would have been better than just completely killing the deal.
All right. Well, moving on to an issue that's very important in the upcoming elections, voter apathy. It seems to be a large part of American politics these days, as an alarming number of individuals feel underrepresented. So how would you address voter apathy?
It's an absolute issue. The reason why so many voters feel underrepresented is because they're not being represented at all. As long as you're not going to fit in the demographic that politicians believe that they need to win, you're not going to be a part of the conversation. So part of how I'm going to address it is I believe in individuals. I don't believe in just grouping people and saying, oh, well, I need these votes, so I'll just go there. I'm going to talk to everyone. I'm going to let everyone have their opinions. Let's have a discussion. You need help. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter. If you're struggling in America, I want to help you. So I think it's just about talking to them. Let them have their opinions on you. Let them tell you what they think you should do. Because at the end of the day, I think one thing so many politicians have forgotten is that we work for them. They don't work for us. This is a job interview. You don't get to tell your boss what you're going to do. They get to tell you. So we need to open up these conversations and let the community. It's supposed to be for the people, by the people, and it's not. We need to give the power back to the people. We need to let them know that they are heard, that they are there, and that we are going to include them, and they're going to actually see results. They're not going to just hear campaign speeches and slogans. They're going to actually see results in their everyday lives. And I think that it starts with having actual conversation. Politicians don't talk to people. They just talk about them and then they leave. And then you don't see them again until they're up for re-election. We need to be constantly engaging. We need to bring in people. Let them, one thing I would love to do if I become a congressman is have monthly meetings with different people in the community so I can find out what the common threads are in issues, what there are general issues or what their more specific issues are. So we can address the bigger issues first and then work our way down. I just believe it's the best way to make people go out and vote is if they feel like they have a reason to. And a lot of Americans don't feel like they have a reason to, and it's understandable. But we need to do a much better job at letting them know that we are here for them and that they can make every demand that they want, and we're going to stay there and we're going to fight for those demands.